This video is about famous people and celebrities who passed away in 1982 in the United States. This is the second episode. Before we proceed, please subscribe to our channel to support us. Lee Strasberg. He was born in November 1901 and he died in February 1982. His age was 80 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was heart attack. Lee Strasberg was an American acting coach and actor. He co-founded with theater directors Harold Clurman and Cheryl Crawford the group Theater in 1931, which was hailed as America's first two-theatrical collective. In 1951, he became director of the non-profit Actors Studio in New York City, considered the nation's most prestigious acting school, and in 1966, he was involved in the creation of Actors Studio West in Los Angeles. Although other highly regarded teachers also developed versions of the method, Lee Strasberg is considered to be the father of method acting in America, according to author Mel Gussow. From the 1920s until his death in 1982, he revolutionized the art of acting by having a profound influence on performers in American theater and film. From his base in New York, Strasberg trained several generations of theater and film notables. By 1970, Strasberg had become less involved with the Actors Studio, and with his third wife, Anna Strasberg, opened the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute, with branches in New York City and in Hollywood, to continue teaching the system of Konstantin Stanislavski. John Belushi. He was born in January 1949 and he died in March 1982. His age was 33 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was drug overdose. John Belushi was an American comedian, actor, singer, and musician. He was one of 7 Saturday Night Live cast members of the first season. Along with Chevy Chase, he was arguably the most popular member of the Saturday Night Live ensemble. Belushi had a partnership with Dan Aykroyd. They had first met while at Chicago's The Second City Comedy Club, remaining together as a cast members on the inaugural season of the television show Saturday Night Live. Born in Chicago to Albanian-American parents, Belushi started his own comedy troupe with Tino Insana and Steve Pachekaz, called the West Campus Trio. Bernard Solins recruited him for the Second City Comedy Club. Once there he met Aykroyd, Brian Doyle Murray, and Harold Ramis. In 1975, Chevy Chase and Michael O'Donoghue recommended Belushi to Saturday Night Live creator and showrunner Lorne Michaels, who accepted him as a new cast member of the show after an audition. Belushi developed a series of characters on the show that reached great success, with an imitation of Henry Kissinger and a portrayal of Ludwig van Beethoven. Belushi appeared in several films such as National Lampoon's Animal House in 1941. Thelonious Monk. He was born in October 1917 and he died in February 1982. His age was 64 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was stroke. Thelonious Monk was an American jazz pianist and composer. He had a unique improvisational style and made numerous contributions to the standard jazz repertoire, including Round Midnight, Blue Monk, Straight No Chaser, Roby, My Dear, Invoked Bud, and Well, You Needn't. Monk is the second most recorded jazz composer after Duke Ellington. Monk's compositions and improvisations feature dissonances and angular melodic twists, often using flat ninths, flat fifths, unexpected chromatic notes together, low bass notes, and stride and fast whole tone runs, combining a highly percussive attack with abrupt, dramatic use of switched key releases, silences, and hesitations. Monk's distinct look included suits, hats, and sunglasses. He also had an idiosyncratic habit during performances. While other musicians continued play, Monk would stop, stand up, and dance for a few moments before returning to the piano. Monk is one of 5 jazz musicians who have been featured on the cover of Time. He died of a stroke on February 17, 1982, and was buried in Ferncliff Cemetery at Hartsdale, New York. Murray the K. He was born in February 1922 and he died in February 1982. His age was 60 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was cancer. Murray the K. was a New York City rock and roll impresario and disc jockey of 1950s, 60s, and 70s. During the early days of Beatlemania, he frequently referred to himself as the fifth Beatle. Murray the K. reached his peak of popularity in the mid-1960s when, as a top-rated radio host in New York City, he became an early and ardent supporter and friend of the Beatles. When the Beatles came to New York on February 7, 1964, Murray was the first DJ they welcomed into their circle, having heard about him and his Brooklyn Fox shows from American groups such as the Ronettes. The Ronettes met Beatles in mid-January 1964, just a few weeks before when the Harlem-born trio first toured England. The Rolling Stones were the group's opening act. The Beatles and Decca Records jointly threw the Ronettes a welcome party in London. In December 1964, Murray announced his intention to resign from WINS on the air, breaking the news that the station had been sold and would soon switch to an all-news format. He did his last show on February 27th before the format changed in April 1965. He died of cancer a week after his 60th birthday on February 21st, 1982. Ray Bloch. He was born in August 1902 and he died in March 1982. His age was 79 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was heart attack. Ray Bloch was an American composer, songwriter, conductor, pianist, author, and arranger. He is best remembered as the arranger and orchestra conductor of The Ed Sullivan Show during its entire run from 1948 to 1971. During the 1920s, he performed with small groups on piano and conducted ballroom bands. Later in the decade, he began appearing as a pianist on radio stations. He began working as an arranger and composer for the Four Eaton Boys in the early 1930s, and followed that as a conductor of choral groups. In 1939, he joined the CBS radio variety show Johnny Presents as choral director and was promoted to orchestra conductor. This was the beginning of a long and successful career in conducting, coaching, orchestrating, and choral directing on radio, television, and albums. Bloch and his orchestra were featured on numerous radio variety shows of the late 1930s and early 1940s. Bloch was the arranger and orchestra conductor of The Ed Sullivan Show from the show's debut on June 20, 1948 until its final show in June 1971. He was the only original Board of Governors of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences and also on the board of New York Friars Club. Randy Rhoads. He was born in December 1956 and he died in March 1982. His age was 25 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was a plane crash. Randy Rhoads was an American guitarist. He was a co-founder and original guitarist of the heavy metal band Quiet Riot, and the guitarist and co-songwriter of Ozzy Osbourne's first two solo albums, Blizzard of Oz in 1980 and Diary of a Madman in 1981. Rhoads was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2021. Originally educated in classical guitar, Rhoads combined these early influences with heavy metal, helping form a subgenre later known as neoclassical metal. With Quiet Riot, he adapted a black and white polka dot theme which became an emblem for the group. He reached his peak as the guitarist of Ozzy Osbourne's solo career, performing on tracks including Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley on the Blizzard of Oz album. Crazy Train features one of the most well-known heavy metal guitar riffs. He died in a plane crash while on tour with Osbourne in Florida in 1982. Despite his short career, Rhoads is regarded as a pivotal figure in metal music. credited with pioneering a fast and technical style of guitar soloing that largely defined the metal scene of the 1980s. Ken Harris. He was born in July 1898 and he died in March 1982. His age was 83 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was Parkinson's disease. Ken Harris was an American animator, best known for his work at Warner Brothers Cartoons under the supervision of director Chuck Jones. His first job as an artist was for Sid Ziff, where he sold some cartoons to him here and there. Then he worked for the Los Angeles Herald Examiner from 1927 to around 1930, when he joined the ill-fated Romer Ray Studio, owned by the son of successful Western author Zane Grey. Following the completion of at least 2 cartoons, the Grey Studio failing to find a distributor closed in 1931, Harris finally ended up at Leon Schlesinger Productions within the Frizz Furlang unit, then producing the higher budget Merry Melodies shorts. Among the many scenes Harris animated, Mama Bear doing an outrageous tap dance with Chuck Jones, who directed the cartoon and who was Harris' longtime collaborator, has said was inspired by Michael Maltese, who could really dance that way in A Bear for Punishment, while E. Coyote consuming earthquake pills in Hopalong Casualty and the lengthy dance sequence in Watts' opera Doc. Harris died on March 24, 1982 from Parkinson's disease in Woodland, California at age 83. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Have a nice day.